Hi there, and welcome to the Stop the Foreclosure YouTube channel and podcast. We're just so happy that you are here today with us. My nickname for you all is Homeowner Heroes. That's what I've been kind of calling you guys on my Instagram page when I reach out in the trying to do a daily briefing or daily, update and going out there on Instagram. So you can kind of reach us on Instagram. YouTube obviously is kind of where you might have found us, or a podcast. We're also on Twitter and possibly Threads at some point. So the list of the social links will be down in the link below in the show notes. But kind of want to just give a shout out to this is our actually a first kind of official podcast in YouTube, and I am excited to be here and to share this information. I know that what you are probably going through is maybe one of the roughest times of your life ever. And I just want to kind of give my condolences to that and just say that you can get through this. Okay. That's it's kind of why I've written the two books about foreclosure, just to kind of assist people and their families to make the best decision for themselves. So I know that I've got two great partners with me today, Cendy, and I'm going to go by KK. I'll let her pronounce her name later. They are out in the talking to people in foreclosure, knocking on doors, trying to reach people, help them as well. So I'm really honored to be able to do this podcast and YouTube channel with them, and just looking for the partnership and looking for the helping as many people as we can possibly help stop the foreclosure and get on with their lives. So, okay, enough. That's the introduction of the show. Let's talk about like who am I and like where do I come from. So my name is Robert Bernard. I'm actually a former aerospace engineer. I got my MBA in real estate, and I got a divorce and then faced foreclosure. And I still didn't know what I was doing. Now this is kind of back in 2007 timeframe, so 2008 really hadn't hit yet. I was upside down in my house, meaning I had no equity. I didn't even know what a short sale was. Like there was just really no place to go, no place to learn. Like I worked with a great bunch of real estate agents and brokers at the time. I was actually a real estate agent doing commercial properties, but I didn't know anything about residential. And my house ended up going into foreclosure. And it really took me about 2 years to recover emotionally. And out of that experience, I was just determined to learn as much as I could about foreclosure. Like I didn't even realize that in Kansas, you can actually get your house back through a process called redemption. Not that I needed or wanted to do that, but like I didn't even know that existed. But anyway, I used my engineering skills to dig up as much information as possible. And 2007, I go through foreclosure, and I basically take the next couple of years to learn about foreclosure and to figure out all the processes there are. For example, in Kansas, you can actually redeem your house within a period of time. It depends on how much equity you have, and just things like this that most people don't know. So I use my engineering skills to kind of dig into it. And I also started helping people. Well, I thought I was helping people at the time. In about 2011 or so, I started working with about 1,000 homeowners to help them get through foreclosure, I thought with grace and ease. And I would consider myself kind of a not a great investor and not great for homeowners. I actually, yeah, was a part of that crowd that bought people's houses for $10 and then took them to court and took the banks to court and all of this. But after kind of writing a book, I realized it was not not I didn't put people in the best situation I possibly could have. And now, after all this time in writing a second book, my goal is really to help people stop foreclosure, turn their house into an asset if they want, get them back on their feet, get them emotionally through this. So that is kind of my why. Is like I've been there, I've been in foreclosure, I know what it takes to get through it. I know it can take a long time, and I just want to speed up that process for people and make it easier on them, give them all the tips and tricks and the knowledge that I know. Because when the knowledge is all out there, right? But you have to go to like attorneys, or you have to buy really expensive books, or you got to do all this research on the internet. And my goal is to put it kind of all in one place to be a resource for people. And yeah, exactly. So that's exactly kind of what I'm up to with the book. And that's who I am. It's kind of like why I'm doing this. I'm just passionate about helping families get this. So Cindy, why don't you go kind of share with like who you are and why you're doing this and some of your experiences.
So I'm Cendy Prater and I turned 70 this year, but I have a couple of things that I'm really passionate about and I've felt this pretty much through my whole life. And that's being of service to others. And in real estate, I've been learning a lot and I learned about foreclosures and started going door to door with our other partner here, KK, Kayla. And, it just I learned a lot about the different situations that people are in, and it really, started, pulling at my heartstrings because people just aren't aware of what to do when they are in that process. So, that's how I got started in getting interested in foreclosures and being able to try and work with people to help them save their house if possible. And like I said, that's how I got interested. That's why I'm here today is to be able to work with someone. And when you are of service, I think it comes back to you in making you feel good about yourself and in helping others. And that's really what I'm all about. I you know, I have my family that I want to help, and sometimes you are in a situation where you can't do that, and that's one of the reasons that I got into real estate. But this makes it good for me in both ways because I can be of service and I can help my family and I can help myself. So I hope that you are, I know that you are in a tough situation and know that we are here to provide you education, information, and do whatever we can to stop your foreclosure.
Awesome. All right. And the last but not least is KK. So love to hear from you as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Keala Kalauli. Most people call me KK if that's easier for you. Sometimes it becomes a little tongue twister, but Keala is how you pronounce it. And obviously, by my name, I am born and raised from Hawaii. And we moved here to Vancouver, Washington in 2021. And how I got started in real estate is I'm a full-time agent with an insurance company, and I've been learning about insurance. And to be honest, that alone is a huge challenge and always learning something. And so, being part of that industry, I've been marketing to a lot of real estate agents, showing up to those meetups. And I've been grateful to have met amazing friends like Cindy, who really helped kind of open my eyes to real estate and different avenues. We participated in this 60-day mentorship that was just a crash course on different avenues and strategies in real estate. One of the weekends, we all piled in a van and we went door knocking. We went to boots on the ground and just try to connect with these homeowners. And it's like each home we got to, it was just heartbreak after heartbreak. And a lot of the times it was just they don't know where to start, who to trust. Um, and they get bombarded with so much information, but it's already a situation that is so stressful that it's just boiling and boiling. So a lot of the times when we go boots on the ground, it's easier for them to put a face to a name and being able to just share information and see how we can really help them and see um what process they're at. And most of these people just haven't started and the time is ticking and it's kind of a huge sense of urgency. So I am so blessed to be part of this team that is going to be here for you walk you through the process, be able to overcome all of these challenges alongside, and just being able to offer our services. Cindy has been serviced our country. She's put in many years, and we appreciate that. And our biggest goal is to just get connected with you folks and see how we can really help you. And so that's what I look forward to doing.
Awesome. It really is kind of heartbreaking. I mean, people end up in the situation of foreclosure for so many reasons as well, right? And some of the things are just completely out of their control. They did everything right, and for whatever reason, um, they ended up there. And really, I just want to share with you, my homeowner heroes, that you're not alone. Okay, at any time in the United States, there are about 100,000 people going through foreclosure. Okay, and some process, some form of process. About 20 to 25,000 people enter foreclosure every month, and 20 to 25,000 people leave foreclosure every month. Even in a good economy, even in the best of economies, it's still about 100,000 people are just dealing with the process. So I just want to know that you're just not alone, okay? And that we are really just committed to helping you, like I said, helping educate you, helping you get through some of the tips and tricks of things. Obviously, we're going to go into deep dives about kind of each chapter of the book, the 13 different strategies that you can take while in foreclosure. We're also going to be I'm putting together a free course on how to do a loan modification. Okay. So even that can be challenging and have its own, ups and downs. And I've got a great chapter in the book about that as well. I'm not really trying to promote the book, but it's on Amazon if you want to get a copy. You have to search Secrets to Keeping Your Home by Robert Bernard for it to show up. So it's not easy. There's also going to be a link in the show notes, like I said. It's free if you've got the Kindle Prime app or whatever it is. It's like $10, but we'll be going over most of the book. I'm also going to have a reading done of the book, so it'll be on Audible, or at least a part of the podcast. I'll just throw it in as kind of the the book, the series. So it'll be available in this podcast as well in this YouTube channel. So I don't know if I'll be doing the reading, but it'll get read and you can listen to it there if you'd like. I'm trying to get it out for free as well, so we can get it out to as many people as possible. So let's kind of just talk about trust. I think that's a really good place to start, right? So, there are a lot of scammers out there for sure. And there are a lot of people that want to take your money but can't really help you. Okay. They'll say, oh, we can do a loan modification for you, or oh, we can do this for you, or whatever. Just beware of scammers, because really it's technically illegal for anyone to take money to help you with your foreclosure, except for a real estate agent and an attorney. And really, real estate agents should only get paid after the deal closes anyway, so not really before. And attorneys, right? There's a foreclosure defense attorneys, which help in judicial states, and then there are also bankruptcy attorneys, which we will talk about bankruptcy and some of the ups and downs about bankruptcies and the hidden pitfalls that I see or have seen. Because the bankruptcy attorney will always tell you to bankrupt, usually to do a bankruptcy. And I'm going to say, let's talk about that first, what the consequences are. And then is of the essence. Absolutely. Like, the sooner that you get a hold of us and can share with us, if you want to message us or email us, we're out here to answer your questions. We love that, basically, because we'll just have kind of weekly shows where we just pick the most relevant questions. We'll try and answer all of them as much as we can. So just to be a resource, right? And then, my thing is, well, not my thing. What I call it is the head in the sand, or, the walking away strategy, right? My nickname is head in the sand strategy, where you just kind of, I'm sure you've seen this, Cendy and KK, where they just are like, I know I'm in foreclosure. I haven't opened my mail. It's not an easy time for them, right? You can really see that in talking to them, and, to be able to just kind of walk them through the process. Because I think almost in every case, you should try and go for a loan modification, right? So what do you think some of the benefits of doing a loan modification are, Cindy and KK? Like, why do you think a homeowner should do a loan modification?
Well, it stops the foreclosure, if you are approved. And my understanding is it doesn't affect your credit. And what they do is they take the loan and whatever you're in arrears and put that at the back. So you're not really, they're not forgiving the indebtedness, but I think that it still keeps you out of having or losing your credit and losing your house.
Yeah, and so that's one kind of loan modification. Okay, that's called a forbearance, and that is definitely one type of loan modification, but there are actually many types. So one can be a debt reduction, where they just lop, like some servicers are able to just to lop off the amount of how much upside down you are, and kind of restart the loan from there. Some do like a 2% interest rate for 5 years to kind of get the payments down. So there are multiple different types of loan modifications, just so you know. And yes, it's supposed to pause the foreclosure because back in the day, it was called dual tracking, where they would allow you to do the modification and they'd also be doing the foreclosure at the same time. And like one of the women I was dating, her mother was going through cancer and they made a request, the family made a request that they just not foreclose until, she had passed away. And she was also trying for a loan modification to kind of keep the house for her kids and stuff, as an asset. Well, they did both basically. They allowed or they foreclosed on the house early, so she kind of didn't get that request done. And then on her last final days on this plan, they said, "Oh, by the way, your loan modification got approved." Right? Like after they kind of done the foreclosure. So just things like that used to happen a lot. Now there are new laws that were put in place. There are a few laws passed to make the loan modification go through faster as well as simplify it. Okay, the new flex loan modifications in 2018 went through. So there were some definite changes to the whole banking system. And then KK, you mean I'm just going to kind of throw this out as a question, but if they decide to turn into investment, is doing the, like to get cash and cash flow out of their house and create some intergenerational wealth, is the loan modification good for that as well?
I would say yes. It would
Yeah.
extend the term, right?
Yep. If you can get better, a better rate,
Mm-hmm.
so it causes possibly more cash to come from, or at least more cash flow to be available, right, from the
Mm-hmm.
house. Okay. So yes, it is a good thing. Plus, you're taking action, right? Like instead of just being a victim or kind of, being woe is me when it comes to the foreclosure, you're actually taking action in terms of the loan modification process. Now, it's not always easy. It can be complicated and frustrating at times. Like I'm going to use kind of a lot of past examples. I'll be honest, I don't know what's currently going on minute by minute in the banking industry, but back in the day, the federal government used to give the servicers $900 each to start a loan modification. Okay. So you would hear like, oh, we've started your loan modification, but then we've lost your paperwork. So we've got to start it over again. And then we've lost your paperwork. You got to start it over again. So they would get $900 every time that happened. All right.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's one of the frustrating. Now they've streamlined it a lot. I don't think that there's as many requirements for it. Also, here's the other thing with this is that what you are temporarily going through, there used to be qualifications for getting a loan modification. Okay. And if you're in it now, you may not be in that certain situation later. All right, like a job loss or medical expense or whatever the 5 reasons are that you can get to give a loan modification. So take advantage of it now while you have that situation and kind of can use that situation to secure your loan modification. Whereas later down the road, you may not be in that situation and may not be able to get the loan modification. So something to be aware of. Okay, so time is of the essence. We've talked about 2 of the 13 strategies of foreclosure. So one is the walking away, head in the sand, strategic default, where people are just like, look, I'm done. I'm just going to walk away. I don't care what the consequences are. I just don't ever want to deal with it again. All right.
We saw a lot of that when we were going door to door. Just, I think it's just because people are hoping for that miracle to happen and it never does. They've never been in that situation before, thinking that, like I said, they've been in their house for 20 years, close to getting it paid off, and then all of a sudden this happens and they think that something's going to happen that's going to save them. And they just wait.
Yeah. Well, it's the joke about, the flood is coming. So, it's put over the airways, like, time to evacuate. And then, the policeman shows up and says, "Hey, it's time to evacuate." And the guy in the
Mm.
boat, shows up and says, "It's time to evacuate." And then the flood comes, and unfortunately, the guy, the person passes away, meets God and says, "God, why didn't you save me?" It's like, well, I said it over the radio. I had Cindy knock on your door. I had KK knock on your door. Robert wrote a book. Like you just don't know what you don't know, right? Which is so kind of, like not sad, but it's, possible. Like you can actually change and alter your situation, right? If you had a little information, if you had people that you could work with to kind of move you from one situation to another, and tell you kind of what upside is for anything and the downsides of what those look like. And it's truly sad when people have given up because they don't have to, right? We can actually give them some hope and give them some opportunity that they didn't have before. So, which I think is pretty amazing. Okay, so the first one of the strategies is the Service Members Civil Relief Act. And this is obviously not going to apply to everybody, but if you're active duty military, I think if you're National Guard deployed, Coast Guard, you should really do your research on the Service Members Civil Relief Act to see what that gives you. Okay, there is some provisions in that inside of foreclosure to protect our active service members, which I think is hugely, hugely important. It's just a shame that they're in foreclosure anyway, that they're going through foreclosure. Like, I personally think, this is me, I think somebody on base should step up and make sure that that family is being taken care of by the service members overseas and can't deal with them themselves. But that's where I guess we can step in and try and help as much as we can. The next one is called reinstatement. And this is like if you're blessed, if you get a big pile of cash, either through work or through inheritance or whatever, and you can just pay the loan back up and get it caught up. That's called reinstatement. It's obviously the best way to get caught up if you can. It can also be done with loan modification. So if you know that you're going to get a big chunk of money, but you're behind, you can go for that loan modification and get a break maybe for 5 years on the payments, or get a forbearance where it's on the back end, so you don't have to come up with as much money for the reinstatement. So those two can kind of be combined. The next one is forbearance, where the bank just basically puts the amount of the arrears all the way to the end of the loan. Okay. One statement about that is that you got to be aware of that when you go to sell your house, is that now you got this payoff for 30 years, or however many years you have left on your mortgage. There might be a balloon payment of that amount. So just something to be aware of, right? Renting, you could turn your house into a rental. Sometimes it's not enough money to get the loan caught up, but it can stave off the foreclosure for a bit, to give you some cash flow and stuff like this. So, but you are responsible for all the repairs, still taxes and insurance. There's lawsuits available. So renting is an option. It's not necessarily a great option always, but it is a possibility. Also, there's short-term rental, where you can turn your house into an Airbnb. That could actually bring in some cases quite a bit of money, but your house has to be Airbnb ready, and you kind of have to run that business. So that is also another possibility, to save the house. The next is reverse mortgage. So this is me speaking, and is that I don't really care for reverse mortgages all the time, but it is a possibility. If you're up in age, you're not going to keep the house, pull the money out, get the bank caught up, and at least you can stay in the house till you die. So it's another way of stopping the foreclosure is using reverse mortgage. The next is strategic bankruptcy. I'll go on public record. By the way, I'm not an attorney. I am personally not a real estate agent. I am a licensed insurance agent, but I was a former real estate agent. I'm not a CPA. Please check with all those professionals before you take any actions. But I will say that I'm not for bankruptcy typically. I think there are people that are, having their jobs, they need their credit card to go on a business trip, and they file bankruptcy, and guess what? Credit card is shut down. Okay. Like, then they can't make the work trip, and then they lose their job, only compounding the issues. And most of the time, the bankruptcy attorneys won't even tell anybody. They'll just take the $2,500 to $5,000 it takes to file bankruptcy, and not even tell the consequences of it. So there is one story, a guy named Bob White, and he's a fantastic guy and gave permission to use this story. Used a strategic bankruptcy to save his house, and that is a chapter in the book, and we'll talk about that more when we do a show on that one. And then the next is fight the bank, and I am an expert at that, and I will never do it again unless it is a clear and winnable case. So At one point in time, I had about 75 lawsuits against the banks. So I know that area pretty well. And we'll talk about that more, but it takes a lot of guts, takes money, it takes luck. And it's a rare thing to win. It used to happen, but not so much anymore, at least not that I'm aware of. There is redemption. So redemption is if you've been in foreclosure in some states, not all states, there's a redemption period where you can go back and actually buy your house back from the bank. Like they have to hold the house. They can't sell it. They can't do what's known as an REO sale, real estate, bank real estate, or real estate owned is bank owned property that they're now selling. They actually have to hold the property for a while through the redemption period. So that's state by state, depends on where you live. And next is to turn your house into cash and cash flow. And this is kind of where we come in. We work with homeowners to basically turn their house into where they can walk away with cash. We'll kind of explain that a lot more. One of the situations that I was working in, this single mom, she had a $400,000 house. She put 3% down, so she put 12 grand into it. The deal was that we were going to work with her to get her roughly $40,000 out of the house. So $20,000 would have been equity and $20,000 would have been cash that she could have walked away with to start her life over again. Okay. Which would have been pretty tremendous. And then she would have gotten around $250 a month from her house for her new living expenses. This is what took me a long time. It took me a while to figure out. Like the universe had to kind of put the right people in place, give me some ideas, like things had to marinate. You two had to kind of come into my life for this to really work because, to get the message out that this is possible. So I call this, well, we really call this working with a compassionate investor because most investors do not want to do this, right? You've been to the real estate schools, you've talked to other investors. They just want to kind of take the property for themselves and make as much money for the property, and right. And which is fine. Look, I get if the homeowner just wants to walk away, there are plenty of investors that will step in, won't they?
Yep.
Yeah. And they might give some cash for keys, they might give a little bit of cash, right? But they're really not going to turn it into an asset for the homeowner, and they're not going to do their best to make it, intergenerational wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's what we're committed to. We do call ourselves compassionate investors. And look, if you never do a deal with us and you save your house and you have a home for your family that is safe and provides a safe place and a place to restore your well-being, then that is the best outcome. Okay.
Absolutely.
That is really where our hearts are for you as a homeowner. We call you a homeowner hero because we really want you to be the hero for your family and for your house. All right. And there are other alternatives you may not even know that exist. Look, I didn't really know these existed till a few years ago, and I've been doing real estate for over 24 years. So it just, things show up in your life that you don't know. And this is one of them.
Mm.
But we can, if you contact us, you can see if your property qualifies and see what we can do, because we have exit strategies for you to help in pretty much all situations. The next is deed and sell your property solution. So some cases, the property is just too far gone, right? Like it has mold, the basement is damaged, the roof is falling in. There's just been so much neglect that selling the house is kind of the only option, maybe doing a short sale. We can help refer you to a great short sale specialist in your area. We know how to vet them. We know the questions to ask. And it also allows us to continue with this podcast and with this YouTube channel and kind of keep us going as well, if you let us make that referral. And we want to help you with that as best we can. And then deed in lieu of foreclosure. It's kind of like, I'm giving up. Here's the house back. I don't get a foreclosure necessarily, but it is considered a deed in lieu. It can affect your credit and getting a new property, like it is on the application forms now, if you ever did a deed in lieu. So it's not to be taken lightly. It's not like in the beginning. In the beginning, you did a deed in lieu and you were like done and you walked away and the bank did whatever they did, right? No consequences. Well, there's some consequences now, but it's not as bad as foreclosure for sure. Okay, so those are the 13 different strategies. I've been talking a lot. Okay, so now I just want to kind of ask the both of you, like, what do you think, or what are some of the questions that people ask you, or what do you think that when you're out knocking on doors, trying to get a hold of homeowners in foreclosure, like, what information do you think they need to know or are looking for that, they're not quite, able to communicate? So, yeah, like, what are you seeing out there?
I think most people are, and I don't want to use this word, but I mean, losing our home is really a devastating thing, and or losing your job. So people feel ashamed. And a lot of times, you were talking about the head in the sand mentality that people have, but it's really, a lot of people will not talk to you because they are ashamed of the situation that they're in. And so a lot of times they'll just close the door. I got it taken care of, or you know, I don't need help anymore. And I mean, I'm sure that some of those are true, but I think the majority are that they are just not facing what's really happening with them. And so I wish that there was more of a way for people to be able to open their door and really receive either information or reach out in their situation. And sometimes, actually, there was one situation where there was a woman living in a house that was not hers. It was her partner's house, and he had passed away. And the situation was that, and I've seen this before, especially if somebody's passed away, that the bank doesn't know. They just know that nobody's making payments. And so the house goes into foreclosure, and the bank will talk to them, or in this case, the next of kin, who was the granddaughter. She wasn't in a position because she had some medical issues to even go talk to the bank. And, you're getting stories kind of second and third hand. The information that we received was that she had talked to the bank and they said it was too late. Even though I didn't see, there was no indication that the actual foreclosure or auction had taken place. So I don't know, they just don't know what to do. So, as to the kind of questions they asked, she didn't know what to do because of the situation she was in, and there was no way to really get to the bottom of the whole triangle or the whole story of how to help this woman, or
Yeah.
at least save the home for the granddaughter so that she could have worked with this woman who had 2 kids and
Yeah.
was going to have to leave the home.
Wow. What a sad story. A few things about that. One is that, there is a lot of shame around people in foreclosure. Like, I've tried to hold live events and no one would show up. And I, totally get that, right? I also understand, like, leaving, door knocking material or whatever that says the word foreclosure anywhere on it is not good, right? Because people, other people see it, like, we just have to be sensitive about where people are in foreclosure. I will say though that, if you do want to reach out to us and you do want to start a dialogue or you got a question you want answered, create a fake Gmail account, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't cost anything. You can come up with some name, it doesn't identify you in any way, shape, or form, or when you do write us, just tell us how you want to be identified, such so that we can keep you anonymous, right? Like, we don't have to reveal who you are and what your circumstances are, but I assure you, whatever you're going through, someone else is going through it as well, or 100 or 1,000 or a couple thousand people are going through it, and they would probably want to hear that, that the
Yeah.
answer to your question as
And
well.
you're not
Not alone at all. So,
yeah.
one of the things that you can do is, like, really create a fake email, or not a fake email, but a real email using kind of a different generic name, right? That doesn't identify you, and getting at least using that to reach out to us or other people, and find the website. So the website, it's the only one I could get that kind of made any sense, but it's stoptheforeclosure.expert. Okay. It's not .com, because that was like 5 grand and I wasn't going to put the money out for that when we could be saving, saving homes for people. Right. But .expert, which I know is a bit presumptuous of me, but, but it was what was available. So stoptheforeclosure.expert is the website. That is where you will find more information and a contact us form to kind of get your questions answered, to see, to see how we can help. So, yeah, and really, it's tough. Like, they just don't know where to start. So, Start with us.
There are
And,
so many different situations.
Yeah.
Everybody's situation is unique, but know that you're not alone. I mean,
Mhm.
listen to the statistics that Robert was telling you about. You're not alone and it's your home. So if you can reach out and get some help, please do that. Don't wait because time is of the essence. And the sooner you act, the sooner you will be able to stay in your home or save your credit or not be foreclosed on.
Yeah, it just gives you more options, right? The sooner you talk to someone that knows what they're doing to help you, it doesn't have to be us necessarily, right? Like, as long as it's valid information and it's good information, the sooner you take action, the more options you have, for sure, for sure. And there will be a place on the website where you can ask for a 30-minute consultation. So we will get on the phone with you and basically talk about, find out what your situation is. You don't have to use your real name. You can stay anonymous. We respect that, absolutely. But like I said, we're just here to help. So this is kind of a long episode. I mean, it went for now. I don't know if they'll all be this long, but if we get a lot of questions or a topic that we're passionate about, we'll probably keep talking this long. But yeah, just welcome aboard, Homeowner Heroes. Glad you found us. We know what you're going through. We'd like to work with you to get you the best option for you and your family, and and to get you, get on with your life, basically. So that's what we're here for. All right. I think this wraps up the first one. So
Yay.
I'm so happy that we are here and doing this. And my heart goes out to you, homeowner heroes. So reach out to us. Stoptheforeclosure.expert is the website. You'll find a contact page, an email, and go from there. So, all right. Take care of yourselves. We love you. Stay healthy. Get outside. Make sure you're sleeping. Make sure you're in communication. Take good care of yourselves. That's where it all starts. All right. We love you. Take care.